Right. So, all of you know that these leadership talk sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids. It also tries to find best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It is also trying to create more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions, individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. So as I shared in the beginning, that this is our 70th session. So far, we have organized 69 sessions. In these 69 sessions, we have received 6,574 registrations, 5,742 questions. We have seen participation from 5 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal. And from India, we have seen participation from 19 states and 78 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions. We would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective. With this, now allow me and join me in welcoming our key speakers for the day. Our first key speaker, Vibha Gupta ji. She is principal with Shanti Niketan Vidyapit in Meerut. She has 20 plus years of experience in education. She is the recipient of 15 plus awards. She received many prestigious. She has received many prestigious awards like Best Principal Award, Best Educator Award, Avanti Guru Shrestha Award, Amatya Award, Best Educationist Award by Shiksha Kalyan Society, IECS Award, Excellence Edu Award. We welcome you, Viva ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Mr. Anirudh Sachdeva ji. Anirudh ji is director with Holy Child Public School, Rewari, Haryana. He has over 3 decades of experience in corporate and education. He has traveled to many countries to visit prestigious universities and schools to understand global best practices in education. Mr. Sachdeva has attended a leadership development program with the University of Wales, United Kingdom. He is the state vice president with the Haryana Progressive Schools Conference. He has received many prestigious awards and recognitions like Eminence Award by Daimik Bhaskar, a Green School Initiative Award by IMI at British Parliament, London, United Kingdom. We welcome you, Anirudh sir. It's an honor to have you. Thank you for joining. Our next key speaker, Mr. Parush Arora. Mr. Parush is the director with Padmavati Academy, Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. Parushji started his professional life with Wipro. He had joined Padmavati Academy School in 2007 and converted it into the most sought after school in that area with 650% growth in terms of student enrollment. Currently, he is taking care of 2 schools in Bareilly. He is also the president of Independent School Association Bareilly, which is a body of schools from CBSE and ICSE boards. Mr. Arora has conducted many training workshops for teachers and parents in different schools. He has received many awards and recognitions for his contribution to the field of education. We welcome you, Paruji. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Dr. Pankaj Sharma. Dr. Sharma is the director with the SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Sharma has over 22 years of varied experience in sales and marketing in media, education, FMCG, and IT sectors. He has completed his graduation in electronics honors from Delhi University and received the gold medal in his PGDBM. He completed a 1 year diploma from IIM Lucknow in Senior Management Program Global Leadership. He has won many awards and recognitions during his corporate journey. He has served in senior level positions at many organizations like NIT University, BML Munjal University, the Tribune Trust, Danik Bhaskar Group, Midday, Indian Express, and ST Media Limited. We welcome you, Dr. Pankaj Sharma ji. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Rajul. Thank you, Rajul.
Welcome, sir. Our next key speaker, Mr. Jaswinder Singh. Jaswinder ji is founder and CEO of Wordsworth ELT. Wordsworth English Lab is designed for India and is highly research initiative of Act Unif Group. It is a trusted education company with 2 decades of service in technology, education and training. Its expertise in technology, multimedia and content development has been instrumental in presenting a world-class language lab solution for the academia in India. In a short span of time, Wordsworth English Language Lab has managed considerable recognition across the country for its unique content and methodology. Over 3,000 installations in institutions across the country stand testimony of the quality in product implementation, training, and the continual service provided by the ACT UNIF and its committed network of dealers. So we welcome you, Jaswinder sir, for joining. Thank you for taking our time.
Thank you for the introduction, Rajul. Thank you so much.
Welcome, sir. Our next key speaker, Mr. Xavier John. He's head quality with the national head quality with the Torrens. Mr. John is a professional musician, specifically a singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He has been performing since a very young age and has toured multiple cities, performing in various venues. He's also a gospel musician, has featured on multiple TV shows. He is currently working with Torrens Music and heading quality and delivery excellence in India. Since the past 8 years, he has been working with institutions engaged in vocational education, handling business development, strategy, and implementation. Mr. John has always been vocal about making music a compulsory subject in education, as the creativity, discipline, and communication that it demands would help students become better individuals. SEBI has authored the vocal curriculum for Torrens and conducts vocal workshops across various schools. So, with this, I welcome you, Mr. John. Thank you for joining. So, with this, we enter to the next part of to next part of this uh, 70th session. I'll request our key speakers if you can have your opening remark. I'll just quickly share the flow for the session. I'll request our speakers if we can have your opening remark for 1 minute, and then I'll come back to our speakers for your main talk. That would be for 8 to 10 minutes, and then we have received few questions. We would like to present these questions to you all. So I believe ma'am, she's yet to join. I would request Anirudh sir if we can begin with you. Your opening remarks, sir.
Yeah, sure. First of all, good evening to everyone, and I hope I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Right. First of all, thanks to you, and thanks to all the team members, and thanks to all the panelists who have gathered together to share their learnings and experiences. Just 2 days to go to end this decade, and just 2 days to go to begin with a new decade, where in the context of today's webinar, the new education policy, we all will be observing a landscape change, a big change in the landscape of education. I'll be talking more about the practical terms, like how we can see the bridging of gaps, what the current system is, and how the world is going on, and what we are expected to do. So, and I hope I'll learn from all the eminent panelists today we have. So this is how I complete my 1 minute, and please carry on with the next. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadhya sir. We are very excited to hear your perspective and thoughts, because you are today's panelists like you and Parushji. You also bring that very precious corporate experience. So I believe that you see the entire education and this national education policy in particular, from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You have worked, you have spent your decades in education. You have also spent your decades in the corporate life. So you bring a very valuable and precious experience. So we all are very excited. Thank you for joining, Anil
Yep.
sir. Now I would request Mr. Parush Arora. Parushji, your opening remark.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible, and it's
Yes, you're
wonderful
audible,
to
sir. You're audible.
it's wonderful to see you all on such a wonderful and important topic. When this NEP was all design, it was in the designing phase, and I was meeting a couple of people, the senior educationists all over the country, and I went to one of the sessions in HRD Ministry, and there was a discussion going on regarding the national education policy. I was actually very excited. Excited in the sense that there's one thing which I really feel that I'm lacking, being convent educated. I reside in Bareilly and did my initial schooling from Bareilly itself. And during my initial phase, I was not very good with English as a language. So when I was not very good with English as a language, it was very difficult for me to actually understand the basics of all those other subjects whose books were available in English. So it was a common saying कि कॉन्वेंट का बच्चा है ना तो इंग्लिश आती है ना हिंदी आती है. So probably post is in NEP, I'm sure that hitch amongst those so-called convent-educated children who are not that good in English, or probably good in the common language which we call it as English in India. They will definitely be understanding the subject at least in a better way. So the opening remarks is that it's a welcoming step by the government, and let us see what the other panelist has to say. Thank you so much for calling me, and I really want to share my thoughts on the NAP in the coming session. Thank you.
Thank you, Parush ji. We are equally excited to hear your ideas. Now, I would request Dr. Pankaj Sharma. Pankaj sir, your opening remark.
Yeah, good evening, Rajul, and good evening, all the dear panelists. I think first of all, I will give you compliment, Rajul, to create such kind of an platform where all these senior persons come and they can share their experience, because experience sharing is very important. And what I believe that this policy, whenever we had a discussion, it is more of execution part. And when you have to execute something, it's a very big thing to execute. You need a lot of brain. So that is, I think we will after today's discussion, will have some clarity that what we as in person from the education, what we can contribute in the execution part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would request Jaswinder sir, your opening remark.
Um, Thank you, Rajulji. And good evening, everybody. Parushji, you stole my point that I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much for doing that. I basically come from the language vertical. We are a company, we set up language labs, and we till date, I mean, we work with around 3,000 plus schools in India, catering to around more than 1 million students almost every day. I mean, since I want to tell what I want to do, but I'll come to your point when you said that कॉन्वेंट का बच्चा है ना अंग्रेजी आती है ना हिंदी आती है मैं ये बात कहता हूँ ये कॉन्वेंट वाला ये इशू कॉन्वेंट का नहीं है स्कूल्स का नहीं है see what happens in most of our schools are English instruction schools, not English medium schools. Only the teaching is done in English, but the communication amongst the students and the peers is not in English. And that is something, which we work on, and I'll get on to that. But coming on to this point, I'm very glad that the NEP talks about teaching during the fundamental or the foundation years in the local language. See, clearing of concepts is very important. What actually happens is when the child is actually acquiring one language, which is English, he's acquiring the foundation also. He's not good at English and he's not able to understand the foundations properly. So, what is important is let that happen, but English as a language and other languages should actually go hand in hand. The three language policy, I applaud that. That's very good. And also bringing in the classical languages, that is Sanskrit in our case, is something which we look forward to. In fact, I would like to announce that we have recently launched our Sanskrit lab, the first such lab in the world, where using technology, students can acquire Sanskrit as a language. It is already installed in more than 400 Kendra Vidyalayas. We are supposed to do it in all 1100, and we're looking forward to work with other schools also. Over to you, Rajuji. Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity to introduce myself. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I would request Mr. John, your opening remark.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me over, and I'm looking forward to a very fruitful discussion this evening. Going through the NEP, it talks about formally introducing subjects like art, classics, history, performing arts, literature, um, and well-formed courses at the fundamental level would lead to proper selection of course choices later on. And we being music solution providers find it a very welcome move. And considering the fact that music itself has been mentioned over 20 times in the 2020 NEP. So I will be putting more light on the importance of music education and how it could add more value to this current NEP. So looking forward to an evening of fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. With this, we come to the next part of the session, which is the main talk session. So I would request our speakers to share their ideas, share, the way they interpret this national education policy, or if they find some limitation or challenges, with the implementation of this national education policy. The time limit would be for 8 to 10 minutes so that we have sufficient time, in the end for the questions. So I would request Anil sir, if we can begin with you. your ideas. How do you see this national education policy? Anirudh sir.
Yeah, sure. I'll start with how my experience overseas, as far as looking into the schools as a parent or as an educator, started. So for the last 3 4 years, I'll be visiting actually many schools. I visited as a learner. I visited as a parent also. Where my son did his 12th from US. He was studying in Mayo School, Ajmer 7 to 11. Then he did his 12th from US. So why the idea came out to make him study in class 12th, which is a premium class as far as the Indian scenario is concerned. When I visited the school, I just saw what we are expecting from the NEP, that everything was practical. Like Savio was telling, a music, like music, there was a complete music rooms altogether, not like Indian schools where we have few gadgets to run through the periods and teaching them. So when we talk about the robotic labs, there were labs like students were experiencing of their own, like everything they were learning from their hands, from their instructors, and by interchanging the ideas, by interacting with the teachers, not like the classroom board or the desk and the benches. So as a parent, I decided that this is a good stepping stone for my son. If he has to study further in US, then he has to uh, be taught in such a manner that the practical skills should enter into his mind rather than what we teach here, which I don't want to discuss much about. But yes, and actually I found a huge, you can say, the learning in him, decision making skills, the choices the school offers. Like in India, he was like having commerce here in 11th. Then over there, like with the commerce, he could take even the physics or any science subject also. You are not stopping anybody to say, okay, this is where your stream ends and where your stream starts. So this was the one factor. Then the second factor, if I look around my corporate experience with multinational companies, when we used to hire the employees like us, we used to find a huge gap, like what we expect and what the colleges are producing. And then when I entered into the school area, I looked at what schools are producing and what colleges are teaching. So then again there was a huge gap. So the gap between the school and colleges and the gap between the colleges and the industry, right? So the system is like such that we are just doing our parts and nobody is interested to look what is required. So I was at CBSE headquarter in last, I think, 2 years back, and we were discussing like how what are the difficulties college students are facing or they face if it's an Indian college or if it's a overseas college. So I, as a marketing student, I did my MBA also. I'm a BTech and MBA. I did some survey from international students known to my son and known to me also. And what I concluded basically that grasping power in Indian students is much higher as compared to overseas students. But again, we are not teaching what is required. We are not giving them opportunity to explore. We are just binding them in the examination system, the marks, and their entry to the college and institutes based on their marks and grades. So the mathematics part, if I add to it, is better of Indian student as compared to the overseas students. So then I looked into the industry part, like what kind of industries basically are spending too much of amount in training the people. So now coming back to this, because Rajul has given 8 minutes, so I'm just bridging, I'm just connecting the notes. The new education policy, according to me, will be a big landscape. Number one, challenges will be there in execution and implementation. That's very right. Like COVID has taught us before, the new education policy was there in picture, but the COVID has taught us how we can shift. So agar sar pe padegi to seekhenge hi. And now the practical part is that how we as a educationist, we as a education leaders, and we as a teachers have to change basically. The system says beautifully, like the peer tutoring, the conceptual training, the conceptual learning, the language skills, the music addition into it, the playway techniques, everything is there. But now the trainers, which is a big challenge, are from the old school thoughts, right? Our teachers, even we ourselves, like who have been taught in the previous practices, have to change a lot. But the positive side is that the corona has taught us basically how to change. So maybe down the period of 2 3 years, we have to completely change our mindset. I'll just give you an example that we people travel to Finland and see their education system, and we appreciate their education system. But practical part is that we cannot copy their system and paste over here, because the entirely a shift is required. Entire shift is required. सो बीच में से कुछ लेके कुछ यहाँ डाल दें, एक स्कूल का क्लासरूम वैसा डिजाइन कर दें, उससे कुछ नहीं होने वाला. जैसा कि मानसिंह सर, इंग्लिश लैब, ही इज फाउंडर ऑफ इंग्लिश लैब. Just putting a lab infrastructure in the school is not going to change the English in the school at all.
Not at all.
You just put a period, 2 3 period in the whole timetable, and the student will go put up a headphone and come back. No gain at all. So the retention of schools are very much less, if I talk about, or the success of English Lab is very less in schools, because the system is not deep dived in the English at all, right, sir? I may be wrong, but you can correct me. कई schools में fail हैं, but that is why I am saying कि हर चीज को synchronize करना पड़ेगा, like be it your AI system in the school, be it your language, be it your teachers, be it your principal, vice principal, everything has to be changed. All the ingredients have to change to implement this NEP practically. And if we really want to have the outcome by 2030, like the students who would be entering into this NEP by the start of 2022, we will see the change by 2030. But yes, it is in favor of country, it is in favor of global citizen, basically what we expect from this NEP. And I would say, if I have to take out one single thing from this NEP, a decision making capability will be there, which is not in our kids as on date. They are depending on the parent, then they depend on their counselors. So they are not able to judge, they are not able to find what they have to do. So those skills will be improved, and then they can have their choices. They can become a photographer, they can become an artist or engineer or a musician. It's up to them. So a successful world and a well-connected world can produce something optimal. So this is what I have to share, and I'll be keen to listen to all others and gain something. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Niru sir. You largely talked about the gap which we need, and the skill gap, the skill which we need at industry level, and the skill, the kind of we are offering at academics level. In fact, I recall my meeting with one of the big industrialists. So he said during that meeting, when we buy as a consumer, when we buy products, so we expect 100% accuracy in our products. We can't buy a motorcycle with a 99% efficiency. We can't buy a mobile phone with a 99.9% efficiency and 0.1% failure rate. So when we expect as a consumer 100% accuracy from our products, so that industry has told me that we also expect educational institutions to deliver 100% accurate that particular product. So but certainly there is a gap between the the school education, higher education, and we have an expert today, right? So with this, I offer my thank you, Anil sir. I'll come back to you with questions. Now I would request
Sure.
Parush sir, your ideas. How do you see that this national education policy?
Okay, so in the initial 1 minute discussion, as I was talking about the the issues which we had when we were kids. Now, talking about the education system of our country and talking about the education system of our country, in the first right now. I hope I'm audible. I can't see people moving.
Yes, you are
Am I
audible,
audible
sir.
everyone? Yeah.
No, you'll have to
Okay, okay.
come again because we lost you in between.
Oh, okay,
Aurora
okay.
ji, you'll have to come again.
So,
Yeah.
talking about the NEP, I'll talk about the positives of the NEP in the first 2 3 minutes. Uh, from my perspective, when I was reading the NEP layout, and when I was reading that what all things they'll be covering in the NEP, and in terms of school education, what all things will be added, I was very happy to read about the new concept 5+3+3+4. So that whole concept was actually appealing. When I talk about the basics of a child, when I talk about the basics in the education system, I really feel that in India we don't have a standard foundation forming for kids. So when I talk about other good countries, as India, India is also a good country. But when I talk about other developed countries, rather, they have a very crystal clear base in the education system. The students are taught in a very standard manner, and the foundation and the base of the kids are they're very clear. So in the NEP, I really feel that this is one positive step they've taken by defining the foundational education to from 3 years to 5 years. That is one thing which appealed to me a lot. The second thing which appealed me was is the introduction of the vocational courses, which I really feel was missing. So, talking about my education when I was a child and I did my education from Bareilly, the initial education, and then I went to DPS Delhi, I really found few things missing in my personality. Uh, I was not explored as a child. My teachers didn't explore my potential, what all potential, what all talents I had at that time. And I was more of, as my teachers used to focus more on the education part only, but not on the other talents which I actually could evolve at that time. But it was too late. Like right now, in the COVID times, I have started playing guitar. So in the last 7 months, you all will be surprised to actually see that I have a live show coming on the 31st for all my kids, and I've learned that guitar to that level in the last 7 months. So I got to know that probably this talent, none of my teacher or nobody actually acknowledged and advised me that this you can actually do. So the NEP has actually done good, will be doing good to the children, talking about the vocational and other aspects of the children. So there are two things which are very important, which probably was missing initially, and in the NEP they have introduced. So there is something called IQ. That's an intelligent question which the NEP is talking about, and the second is EQ. That's the emotional question which the NEP is talking about, and I really feel that that particular thing which they've touched in the NEP is amazing. Uh, One thing which I really feel in the 1 minute of conversation, the introduction part, I was discussing that it is very important for the teacher to understand that a child is able to understand the subject in better in which language. So it probably, like in my case, I don't have a mother tongue. Again, Hindi is a mother tongue, but for people, for kids in South, they have got different mother tongues. So that is what is very important for a teacher to understand, that if I'm teaching a child, let's say science in English, but the child is unable to understand those basic technical words of science in English, then the foundation of that particular is very important for us to understand, which is a beauty of NEP, which I really like, that there is no foundation on the child that up to class 5 you can actually understand and study your all the basic subjects in your mother tongue, in your native language. So that's an amazing stuff which NEP has done. On the other hand, I've got many questions and a couple of things which are actually I'm really worried about. When I say I'm worried about, why? Because when you talk about teaching a child in mother tongue, so like my school, I'm starting with hostel facility from the next session. And although we were supposed to start in this session only, and the hostel is working, we've built up rooms in 2019, and unfortunately because of COVID, we couldn't take the students in the hostel. So I've got 4 admissions from southern India in my school, because I have just built up a lawn tennis academy, and that's we have taken the approval from ITA. So there are students from southern India who have joined our school because of the professional lawn tennis academy, and I'm really worried about these people. And one of that child is in class fourth. That child took a revision in class fourth. So I really don't know how I'll be able to actually cover up that gap and uh, actually teach that child in different local languages. That one challenge I feel will be there in the NEP. The second challenge, I really feel that changing the pattern from 10 plus 2 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, how will that actually work? That we need to understand, because talking about our teachers, talking about building up teachers, uh, normally we believe that anybody who has done B.Ed is a teacher. That is what the standard definition of a teacher is there in India. तभी CBSE रिकॉग्निशन देता है. अगर टीचर्स बीएड नहीं होते तो वो आपके एफिलेशन में बहुत सारे रिमार्क्स लिख के दे देता है. So are we actually building up that format of teaching, or are we actually changing that format of teaching in B.Ed, or are we changing the curriculum in B.Ed? So because I was reading that NEP properly, and I had a conversation with a couple of professors and couple of directors of B.Ed colleges, and we had a detailed workshop in Bareilly itself. So they were unable to answer. They are still following the same curriculum. I might be wrong, or they might not be aware about the changes which will take place probably once the NEP will be introduced. I know it is in phased manner, but that is what challenge I see, because when normally we take interview in our school in the beginning of the session. So teachers comes up with their certificates that we have done B.Ed, and घर पे कुछ काम नहीं हो रहा था, इसलिए let us start teaching. कुछ ना कुछ तो करना है, तो कुछ तो कर ही लेते हैं. So are we actually serious on building up teachers? Is NEP talking about building up teachers? That is what my concern is. If they really have a plan of building up teachers, what will be the implementation part? So that is a question which I really don't know what the answer is. Maybe in the next session, uh, when I'll be listening to other experts, maybe I'll get an answer for that. One more query which I have related to NEP when I was reading that, the content part, how the government will be changing the content which is available in the books right now. Will we be working on the basics in a stronger way, the way they are discussing in the NEP, or there'll be a actual transformation of content available from pre-nursery to class second, which they say as the preparatory years or the foundation years? So that is a question which I really feel I'm really worried about, how they'll be, because everybody, like you are doing series of leadership sessions. So what I am worried about right now is, will these series of leadership session the government is also conducting, and they're actually working on the changing part? I have not come across all those things. So I really feel that NEP is a wonderful step which the government has taken, but in our country, uh, the unfortunate part is, I'm really sorry, I'm talking about a lot about negatives, but it is very important to talk about negatives in the beginning so that we can actually convert these negatives into positives. So when the Congress government implemented the CC pattern, it was not actually properly implemented in the schools. We all had our own different uh, understandings of CC. There were no trainings how to actually do CC properly. There were trainings, but not to the extent of actually to have a good implementation. So I feel CC was a wonderful pattern. It was a wonderful step which CBSE has taken. But we as educators, we as teachers actually mold molded the CC pattern, and government was actually forced to withdraw that. So I'm really worried about the implementation part of NEP. That is what I'll be listening more from the leaders on board. So thank you so much. So again, it's a wonderful step. NEP is awesome. Now what I'm waiting for is the implementation part. Over to everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Parag. You talked about the positive side as well as the challenges. Which you believe that solutions are needed uh, if we can expect the successful implementation of national education policy. So certainly, we'll come back to the very important questions you have raised, or we'll try to find some solutions. We have Anil Sachdeva sir, who is running the institution for last almost 50 years now. So I believe he has the solution for everything. He's also represent Haryana Progressive Schools Conference. So he when he is here, so he is not representing himself only. He's representing 1,000 odd schools. So I'm sure now I would request Dr. Pankaj Sharma, Pankaj sir, you know, uh, Anirudh sir also raised that very important point, the gap, the skill gap, the expectation gap, the higher education institutions, what they are actually, what they are actually expecting, and what industries are actually expecting. So how we can find these solutions to, impart that gap, Pankaj sir?
Yeah, thank you, Rajul. First of all, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. Very insightful talk by Mr. Arora and Mr. Sachdeva. I think I'm very proud and I'm very happy to see such young people in the education. I've just gone through your school website. Really amazing. You're giving a lot of good things to the students. I think it is as an outsider, because when I say as an outsider, because I go in a school as an outsider, because the input coming to the higher education coming from school, but we have no direct role play in the school. But I almost going to school since 2012, and it is not in Delhi NCR, across small cities also. What I felt, the environment at various schools, and this is really a very different kind of environment exists, though all schools are, let's say, CBSE affiliated, but you have a lot of improvement areas. When I talk about that national education policy, I don't know why it took more than 30 years to roll out that policy, and I don't know how many years it will take to execute. That is the most important point. Whenever we discuss in all the forums, everybody said there's a good policy, and this is a good policy, but the point is how we are going to implement. There are three major areas where I feel, and one of the major and important areas is school education. It's almost 15 years. And if you talk about higher education, it's 3 years or maximum 5 years, or if you're going for a PhD, 7 years or 8 years. But your 75% education happened in school, and then balance 25% in higher education, and obviously then your entire life is education. When you going into a corporate, you have a different kind of experience. So what I felt, and I always I always say these words: there are three islands exist. One is the school education system, another is the higher education system, and third is the corporate one. Whenever student coming to the higher education, they have no clue that what we are going to face after class 12. I remember whenever I go for a career counseling session and I ask this question: what do you want to become in your life? And that's a very general and very common question. You won't believe, and you yourself aware about this. Many students, I will not say percentage, it varies from school to school. It again depends upon the school initiative. But the large percentage of students, they are not aware that what they want to do in their for entire life. They're looking for more information. They're looking for more platforms. They're looking for more interventions where they can experience the actual life. So this policy talks about vocational training. I think that's really important, and some of the schools already implemented about this vocational training, or in a form of an internship, where students are going for a smaller period of time, let's say 15 days or 1 month or a week time, to understand. Suppose they want to become a doctor or engineer or a lawyer, any profession, or musician, director. They are just going and meeting with the exact professional, that what is what they are do actually. If you want to become a doctor and you don't like blood, you have a fear, then I think it is important to understand, or you take that point in advance while choosing your stream in class 11, because you have decided, you have taken biology, but you have no idea what you are going to perform as a doctor. So that's important to understand, and these policies talk about this intervention from the corporate or from the practical life. And this is one of the reason we at SRM University at Sonipat, we have around 22 institution of SRM group is a big group. We have 80,000 students studying across. What we did a tie-up with some of the corporates like IBM, TCS, Xebia, KPMG. Recently, we started a center of excellence with Siemens. Now, this is all about to train. When I say train, it is not to train only students. It is important to train faculty members. Because if you just train students, you cannot have that kind of environment where This training has to be 24/7. And this policy is also talk about training teachers. I wonder that how they are going to execute, because I remember one of the discussion where I think it's Rajul's platform or somewhere else, where the founder of Shulin University was there, and he raised a very important point that whether it is a school or is a higher education system, we are underutilized. When I say underutilized, we work only for 180 days or maximum 200 days, because you have 5 days working, you have 8 to 3 kind of a working. I don't know about few of the schools, but that's something what we are doing. We're underutilized. I think that's important, as in school, as in higher education, or as in corporate world, if we can come together, because one school has to help other school. Because if you talk about, let's say, DPS school, DPS RK Puram, if you talk about DPS Faridabad, if you go to further DPS Roorkee or other further city, later, let's say tier 2, tier 3 cities, you will find, in spite of tag of DPS, I'm just taking one example, you can take Rayan school also, or any other chain of schools, you will find the same school has a different kind of environment in city wise. If you talk about other schools, what I feel, you should require a lot of hand holding, where school management, school teachers, school students can come on a platform and they can share their experience, their ideas, and they can execute things. I remember I was sitting with one of the school principal, and we were talking about how we can have this practical intervention at school level. I said, you have all the resources. You don't have to go anywhere. You have more than 2,000 students. Just imagine they have their parents, you have alumni. You just put an idea on the table and you will find all the resources will be available within the school resource. So that is, if we depend upon the outsiders, let's talk about government policy of execution, I think it's very difficult to do that. So what I felt, we have to take initiative and we have to keep sharing. It's not like that, okay, there's a competition. I understand in school, every school, there's a competition about admissions. We are also facing the same thing as an higher education institute. But there are some things we need to share, that this is how we can do as a team. That's one of the important thing to execute as well as education policy is concerned. Second, we as an higher education institute always invite school students, especially in class 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. You come and experience the higher education environment, where we invite a person from the corporate also, so that the bridge there's a I always believe this higher education institution is a bridge between the school and the corporate world. We try to interact, we try to create a platform where student or teachers, that's important, teachers interaction is important, or counselor interaction is important, because counselor exactly knows that what are the strength and weakness of the student. If this can be brought somewhere on the platform, and at where the higher education institution is there and the person from the corporate, will definitely help building the very good career of that student. That is something we have to take that initiative. Second, if you talk about some of the institution or some of the school students, they have really taken a lot of initiative, because end of the day you have to be a successful person. There is no correlation. If you are very good in academic, you are going to be a successful in your life. That is something that's proven fact. This is an overall person one should looking for. I have seen you got 90%, 99% in your academic class 12th or graduation, but you are not a successful person. So this policy is talk about, there is no you are a science student, you can study as an history, or you can other subjects you can study. This experiment we executed in our university, it's a choice based credit system. You're an engineer but you want to study music or any other subject, or vice versa. So that is something can be doable, and it is really very important for the student in their professional life. So I will not take much of time, but Rajul, that's a very good thing you have done and initiative. I think it is important that whatever things we will discuss, it is important that you should bring all these things somewhere where execution is based. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Big thanks, sir. you have highlighted, almost, this we find this problem everywhere. We certainly needs to connect all these three islands, the school, or the higher education and the industries. And this NEP, when it proposes that vocational integration, and it puts a very special emphasis upon that vocational education. So it also highlights the same problem. Right. Big thanks, sir. We need to work in collaboration. Now I would request Jaswinder, sir. Sir, from the world of languages. You know, in fact, during our last session, we had a wonderful interaction on the language part, where Sardar Patel Vidyalaya principal ma'am, Dr. Joshi, she presented, and it was, I would say, it was a kind of a disclosure, that mandatory, there was no English language training, up to fifth standard, and it is the most sought after school, among the most sought after school in Delhi. So now over to you, Jaswinder sir. Your perspective, your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Rajuji. First, I'd like to correct you here. What Dr. Joshi said, that they had Hindi and English also. They did not start English from fifth standard. Very important, we need to understand, by the time the child comes to fifth standard, beyond that, acquiring new languages is always a challenge. It is good to introduce more languages at an earlier part. So that's it. But I will start with, you see, I come from the services background. Services means providing services. Okay, so if I take up two points from Mr. Sachdeva and Mr. Arora and also Sharmaji, so what happens is, we take it with NEP in mind. The government has come up with a policy, everything great, hunky-dory, good. But the icing is in the execution. Sir, any project, any product, any software, any solution, if not implemented properly, has no meaning at all. Anirudhji, you spoke about language labs being installed. Yes, I have myself installed it in 3,000 private schools and 1,100 government institutions. It doesn't work everywhere. It works only where it is executed properly. Okay, I'd like to give you an example. We all know that the government of Delhi is doing a lot when it comes to education, right? Couple of years back, they appointed us as one of their training partners for languages for the government schools kids. They asked us, these are 10th standard Hindi medium students who had English as a subject where they could only read and write. They had never communicated. And they said, we give you 190 hours, train them, and they asked Trinity College London to come and do the third party assessment. And they said, if our students do not jump one level, you don't get the money. And it was 10 crores worth of project. 25,000 students. It worked because hamare sir pe talwar thi, a lot of investment, 500 plus teachers put into that. So what happened there is, we knew that it has to be implemented properly. So when you take it that way, that I have to reach this and this is how I'm going to do, things will work. Whether we talk about NEP, it is a roadmap. It will take time. Roadmap means it isn't going to be in phases. We need to implement them. But at our level, all the stakeholders need to work. First, parents should be ready to accept more than institutions, because right now we all know what NEP 2020 is. These people know only what the channels or the news channels have told them. So them, the educators and the students have to take on to that. So coming on to this point, again, I would say implementation is where the entire, mantra is what will work on to that. Looking at language, because I'm going to talk about that, this policy of 3 languages is great. You see, up समझ लीजिए, North India, we are going to have Hindi. We can have some other language. English is going to be there. And this point of getting a classical language, which is Sanskrit, that again is a very important thing. I myself, I did not take Sanskrit as a subject, though it was offered by my school when I was studying. I'm talking about more than 30 years, 40 years back. But what we're talking about is that is because we were scared. But now when we started, we developed world's first Sanskrit language lab. Sir. So because we had an order from the Ministry of HRD to implement it in 1100 Kiwis. So when we started designing it, we found out that it is such a beautiful language, such a technical language, such an organized language, that getting these is something which will work wonders for this thing. So getting on to the point, this three language component is going to be something very good. And what it is said, if anybody who speaks more than three languages can actually think better. Coming to Arora ji, आपका point के ऊपर, if a student comes from South India, आप क्या करेंगे? NEP doesn't say that you can't teach in English. English medium schools can teach in English, right? So that thing is taken because suddenly you can't change, and it is going to take more than a generation to change it from one language to the other language. But yes, this challenge is always there. That what about, why do we have a local language? Because we want to support those students. और एक side पे हम कह रहे हैं कि हम अंग्रेजी में ही पढ़ाएंगे. So the whole challenge is there. Not only this, when students get transferred, what is going to happen? So I think time itself will tell, because this is one thing which over the years they will do. And I don't think that in the coming 2, 3, 4 years, schools are going to shift over to Hindi in the northern belt. They will bring in Hindi. Teacher Hindi में समझाएगा भी, टेक्स्ट बुक्स तो इंग्लिश ही लगेंगी मेरे हिसाब से. And what they will have, they'll have an alternate textbook कि आपके पास ये है ये. In fact, I'm from Gujarat, Ahmedabad. So here, around 4-5 years back, they launched a scheme known as Ganga Jamuna. एक पेज इंग्लिश में और वही पेज गुजराती में. Again, it was so slowly. What happened is those jargons that we are talking about, scientific jargons, थोड़ा understanding वो गुजराती में होता था और बाकी इंग्लिश में भी होता था. So over the years, it will take us time. We'll have to run a parallel system. You know, when we shifted from manual bookkeeping to computerized accounting, everybody for 3 years were maintaining both the accounting. We will have to do that, and over the years it will come into that. And here, what I think is technology will play a very important role, right? I suppose, Mr. Sachdeva, you're from Wipro. You've earlier worked with Wipro, right? So you are from the technology front. If technology is used even for language or any other subject, if we talk about even teacher training, because when they are talking about teacher training, yes, it has to start with teacher training. How can we train so many teachers? Again, technology is something. So somewhere it all, comes around to technology. If implemented with the right kind of technology and right kind of mindset, I think anything can be achieved. But time is a factor that we have to all look at it. We'll have to be very, very patient onto that. One important thing, Sharma ji, aapne kaha tha initiative, right? Yes, this initiative has to be taken both by educationists and the students to make these things happen. Kids today, like you said, why have they got vocational training? Rightly said that unless I know where my interest is, unless I go and work there, I won't know. मेरा cousin ये करा तो मैं भी ये करूंगा. सामने वाले का बेटा ने ये किया, मैं भी ये करूंगा. This is how education is happening, or choosing of careers. But if we get into something, because like what Mr. Savvy is going to talk about, you can make an excellent career in music. You can make an excellent career even by opening a mechanic shop, because dignity of labor jab aa jayegi, all sorts of professions will come in, and that is where this vocational thing of ours will come into this thing. In fact, EBCS, choice-based credit system, is already implemented in Gujarat from the last 10 years, or more than, I think, 15 years, when Modi ji was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And I think that is what they have taken up there. So what I would do, I'll give thumbs up to the NEP. But again, with a pinch of salt, we as educationists will have to understand that the execution is in our hands. They have to make the policies. If we execute it, that is done. We have tried this. In fact, recently, we were appointed by the Indian Army to train all the army jawans who wish to become army officers. India में army of jawans बहुत ज़्यादा है and officers बहुत कम है. So what they are doing, the best of the army jawans, they are shifting them to promoting them to officers. So they've given this project to us, that because in the army English works. So we are currently training them, and we've already trained 600 of those people in the last 4 months. And we are doing this at Officers Training Academy in Chennai. So if implemented properly, and they are faced the toughest of recruitment processes, it works. But we'll have to implement that first. Or the whole thing boils down to implementation. And I raise my case here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. We'll come back to you with questions. With this, now I would request Mr. Xavier John. Xavier, your perspective and ideas.
Yeah, thank you, Rajulji. Thank you, Mr. Sachdeva, Mr. Arora, Dr. Sharma, and Mr. Singh for sharing such valuable perspectives. It is really humbling to be in the presence of such esteemed panelists. I would like to begin by adding a little more to what Mr. Sachdeva said when he was speaking about his son's education abroad. To tell you, we are a company who started from the United States of America 13 years back, and we are like in over 200 public schools in the US. Now, these public schools are not like the private schools. These public schools are usually cash strapped. They have got financial problems. They do not have adequate, financial help to meet the basic requirements, and they are always doing some kind of the other, some kind of a fundraising activity continuously to ensure that they meet their ends. But even in public schools like these, we see that just like what Mr. Sachdeva spoke about, the laboratories, the hands-on what these children can access, what these children get. We have classrooms where we have set up music labs, and we have like 30 guitars, 30 keyboards, 30 drum kits. This is something which is found even the most basic of the schools in the United States. I'm not comparing the United States with India on any other grounds. I'm not even talking about values. They're two different situations. And I'm not going to be talking about who's the first world country and who is not. I'm just talking about these basic things which are given as a hands-on to all the children. We don't even find this kind of a setup in even the premium schools of our country. And I think it is high time we value the contribution of music in the well-being of humans as a whole. We need to streamline the entire concept of the learning curriculum. There needs to be an acknowledgement of the different types of intelligence which was put forth by Mr. Howard Gardner. And just like Mr. Arora said, there needs to be a great level of importance given to aptitude. He also spoke
Yeah,
about how he took up the guitar during these 7 months of lockdown. And I'm very sure, Mr. Arora, what do you feel if you would have been given this music education as a kid when you were learning? What do you feel about it? Do you think it would have added more value to your learning experience and your life as of now, considering what you learned in the
So
past 7 months?
yes, so I would like to mention this thing that I although I did my college from Ramjas College, Delhi University, and supposedly people said it's one of the best
Okay,
colleges in India, rather than Delhi University. So I
okay.
applied in Hindu College in Hansraj and SRCC also. So I was just short of couple of percentage, and probably if I would have understood and learned guitar at that time when I was sitting idle, or probably nobody told me, I would have actually upgraded myself in terms of college through some music quota, or probably I would have actually taken music as a profession. So right now, although
Wow,
I'm in a very noble profession, but to be very honest,
absolutely.
uh, I'm performing for a couple of people on the 31st, and as a passion, I'm performing on
Super.
10th also. So I'll share the Zoom link with you
Wow,
with everyone. If you will see me
totally.
performing, and 7 months of learning, you will actually feel that I am meant for music, not for education, probably.
We can see
So
the passion flowing out from
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
See,
That is
exactly,
quite obvious.
exactly.
See, that is such a powerful statement. He is right now the director of a very reputed school, and he says that if he would have been given an opportunity to do music, he would have been a musician right now. And how he's more passionate towards music. I would bring your focus to the importance of music. You know what music does at a foundation level compared to what we see in our television and in the movies and all, and probably you would see Kareena Kapoor trying to play the guitar and with notes that don't make any sense. But looking at the other side, we know how there has been a lot of research which has been done in music, and studies which directly show that it affects the cognitive development of children, whether it is social, whether it is emotional, motor skills, or whatever it may be. And it is very much a proven fact that listening to some music like Western classical music directly impacts the development of a child in the womb, in the womb of the mother. The child is able to respond to those sounds. He finds those sounds very familiar, and it has helped his brain develop even before he was born into this world. And I remember one of the most renowned music directors of India, Mr. Ehsan Nurani of Shankar Ehsan Loy. He also happens to be the director of Torrens, one of the directors of Torrens Music in India. He used to say how he could study better with music playing in the background. That is what he always says during his talks, whenever he comes to our schools to speak to the children. And one of the principals of a school in central India, which I visited last year, we are in that school presently, I wouldn't be taking the name. One fine day, the principal called me and I had a word with her and she asked me to come over. And while discussing, she told me that there has been at least 100% reduction in classroom violence and breakage of property. We all know as educators that the children are very energetic. There is a lot of energy flowing in the children. But if it is not channelized, like in one of our previous talks, Jaswinder ji had mentioned, he said that अगर बच्चों के हाथ में हम हुनर नहीं देंगे तो नहीं पता वो क्या उठा लेंगे. So it is very important to channelize this energy of the children. And that school had drums and piano. So that school has witnessed 100% reduction in classroom violence. And don't we think this classroom violence is going to translate into some worse form when the kid grows up, when the child grows up? We will not be able to predict what the future of the kid lies in. But what we can do at the foundational, at the fundamental level, I think that is where we all can contribute well to the development of this child. And in one of the previous sessions, one Dr. R.P. Singh, I always remember these lines which he said, and it has moved me greatly. He said that we just do not want to become a superpower. We need to have leaders. India always has been a land of leaders. Most of the olden scientists or educationalists or researchers, which we have read in our texts,